In this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire Black Ops 6 Zombies Terminus Island Easter egg from start to finish. Obviously, there's a lot of different steps, there's a lot of different things we have to do, so let's get right into this Easter egg. To start the first process, you need to turn on the power to the entire facility, which is something that the game actually guides you through, so this will be very easy for you to get done. Once the power is on, the main characters inside of this map are going to talk about a hidden lab that you need to go and try and find. For this, you need to actually raise up the Pack-a-Punch lift that you see inside the water, which again, the game tells you to go and dive in there to actually lift up the Pack-a-Punch. For the next step, you need to go and attach the dead wire ammo mod to one of your guns. Doesn't matter which gun it is, because this dead wire ammo mod is going to be used to turn on a couple fuse boxes that are going to only be found as you use the lift where you can find Pack-a-Punch. Now, as this lift is going up, you're going to see a small office that has broken windows, and in this office, you're going to see a power box. Shoot the power box with the gun that has the dead wire attachment, and you'll see an electric current go to some other power boxes. Keep shooting these power boxes that are electrified and follow the pathing that I'm showing you to go into the living quarters. Inside the living quarters, you'll see another electrified fuse box. Shoot it once again, and then the fuse box outside of the living quarters will be lit up as well. Shoot that final box, and a secret laboratory will open up where you can see an uncompleted Beamsmasher. This gun is required to go through the Easter egg, so let's go and find all the parts. Thankfully, your very first component is going to be found inside of this laboratory itself. Once you enter in here, you'll probably hear a zombie on the floor. All you have to do is kill this zombie, and it's going to drop the EMF fob. This is one of 3 pieces to unlock this main Easter egg gun. Next, make your way over to the C tower, the same building that you can get the elemental pop perk cans. In this C tower, you're going to find a case that has a zombie hand on it. All you have to do is interact with this case, and you'll be able to get the next item, which is going to be a resonator. Now, with the resonator in hand, we can go on to the next step, which is finding 3 individual laptops scattered across the map. Thankfully, these laptops aren't very far away. The one that is going to be closest to where we just were with the resonator is going to be a floor down below, right in front of the sea caves and the mining tunnels. You'll be able to see the laptop location with the funny looking antenna right next to the laptop. All you have to do is interact with the laptop itself. A symbol will appear on here, and then you can move on to the next spot, which is actually going to be right near Stamina, one of the first rooms you can open up inside of the map. As soon as you get to the room of Stamina, simply go outside to the right, and you'll see another one of those antennas and laptops waiting for you to interact with it. And the final laptop can be found just outside of the room where you can get quick revive. Once again, simply go outside of this room, go to the right, and you'll see another laptop with that weird looking antenna. Interact with it, and you can now move back into the secret laboratory. Interact with the computer on the right, and you'll quickly see that it gets turned on with the resonator that you had found. You want to interact with it again, and 3 sticky notes will show up matching the symbols of the laptops. What you're next going to have to do is one of 2 things. One, you can solve a math problem all on your own, or you can go to Dr. Peck at the beginning of this map and pay him 5,000 points to do the math for you. Personally, with how valuable points are inside of this map and the main Easter egg in and of itself, I recommend you do the math yourself. I'll show you how to do the equations here in just a second, but again, if you don't want to go through all the equations, you can skip forward in the video or simply go to Dr. Peck and pay him the 5k to actually get this done a lot quicker. For the math, you need to find the X, Y, and Z values, which is going to align with the XYZ symbols that you find on the computer. Match that symbol up with the left whiteboard. You're going to see 2 different columns of 0, 1, 2 on the left side, and on the bottom 2, 1, 0. These are going to give you your values per symbol. So for example, my value for X is going to be 21 because the symbol is going to be on the very bottom level in the middle, and as you see, the 2 and 1 align up with that particular symbol. Do the same exact matching with Y and Z as you see on the computer. From there, once you have all 3 of your values, you want to use the right whiteboard and solve each one of the problems. So in my case, problem number 1 is going to be 2 times X, which is 2 times 21, plus 11, which is going to give me 53. For problem number 2, it's going to be 2 times Z, which for me is the value of 0, plus Y, which is 10. So I'm going to have 10 minus 5 at the end, which will give me 5. And for problem number 3, I'm going to have Y plus Z minus X, which is going to end up being 10 plus 0 minus 21. That will give me negative 11. The 2 bars at the end of this equation means that this number cannot be negative, which will leave me with 11. Is this way more math than you bargained for in a Zombies Easter egg? Yes, absolutely, but that's why we have the option to pay Peck 5k to get these numbers correct. So whichever way you end up getting these numbers, enter them incorrectly into this computer, and you're going to see a map start pinging around. Next thing you have to do is go through the rounds until the triangulated location around this map is found on the computer. It may take a couple rounds. It usually flips on round 9 for me when I go through this Easter egg, so just stand by where this computer is, go through the round cooldowns, upgrade your setup however you want to, because as soon as the position is located, you're going to have to take the device off of the computer to move on to the next step of the Easter egg. Once that island has been marked, you're of course going to have to go to that specific island, but don't forget to take the resonator before you go. The island is going to be on the far right side of the map, more particularly the smaller section of this island. Once you get to this island, you're going to see a blue orb with something in the middle. All you have to do is interact with this orb and basically survive until you see the orb go up in the air slightly and zap a very particular zombie. Once that zombie has been zapped, kill that zombie and you're going to have something electrical that drops to the ground. Pick up that item and run over as quick as you can back to the other giant blue orb. You're going to have to run through the blue orb to actually drop that piece of electricity into the orb. You're going to actually have to get 2 different charges to complete this step. Once you have 2 charges inside of this blue orb, it's actually going to shoot off to another island in the distance. Now, before you go to the next island, make sure you pick up the resonator, which will be on the ground right where you just had the orb. This is very important because at the next island, you're going to have to use that resonator again, just like you did at the first location, to continue the same step that you just had with the blue orb, but now it's a green orb. Once again, wait for it to shock a random zombie that turns it green. Kill that zombie, take the green electricity, the green element from that zombie, run it into the green orb, do this twice, and it will again shoot off to another island. Make your way to the final orb in the final island, which is going to be the island on the northwest side of the map. Once again, interact with this purple orb this time around. Wait for it to shock 2 other zombies, get the purple element into the orb, and once you do that, you will actually have completed the final step to actually crafting the Beamsmasher. You will know you have done this correctly when your screen gets flashbanged, and in the place of where the resonator was and the final orb is going to be a brand new golden item that you can pick up, which is going to be an amp munition. With this final part in your inventory, make your way back to the secret laboratory and start crafting the Beamsmasher. Again, you can get the Beamsmasher through the box, or you can use a specific gobble gum to actually get it, but this is a way to guarantee that you will be getting this wonder weapon to help out with this main Easter egg guide. So now that you have it in your hands one way or another, let's move on to the next step, which is actually using the Beamsmasher on one of the tentacle traps surrounding the entire map. Now, it's not exactly sure which tentacle trap it's going to be, so I recommend trying all the different ones. There's one right outside of the laboratory where you just made the Beamsmasher, so make sure you try that one first. But there are several tentacle traps surrounding the entire map. All you're having to do is go underneath the tentacle trap once it is activated and using the Beamsmasher and firing into the mouths. Eventually, inside of one of these traps is going to have a gold hard drive that you're looking for. It won't be all that obvious when it's dropped, so do your best to be walking back and forth to see if you could pick up a hard drive as you're shooting these traps. So now that you have the hard drive, make your way back to the beginning of this map where you see Peck and Strauss inside of an office. Interact with the small drop box in front of them and they will tell you the next objective, which is actually to go and interact with the giant cylinder inside of the biolab. This cylinder is going to be extremely hard to miss, and all you have to do is go and interact with the small window and keypad, and you're actually going to find Nathan, who is Maya's brother that we've been looking for inside of this map. Your next objective is of course to then break him out of this cylinder, and you're going to need a combination of 3 numbers. Your first number can be found inside of the room with quick revive right next to the torture chamber, where you're going to see a clock on the wall. The smallest hand, or the hour hand on this clock, is going to be the number that you're going to use. So the hour hand is closest to 1 o'clock, so my number is 1. The second number in the sequence is going to be inside of the mess hall. If you're not familiar where the mess hall is, follow my pathing as I'm showing you from the room with quick revive, and you're going to look for a bulletin board that's going to have a playing card pinned to the wall. Whatever number that playing card shows, so for me it's 5, is going to be your second number. Your final number can be found inside the engineering room, which is just past the living quarters where you can find Juggernog. Inside of this room, you're going to see safety first, days since last injury. Whatever number that shows, for me it is 5, is going to be your final number. With the final number in hand, return back to Nathan and the giant cylinder, type in the code in the correct order, and then you will be able to interact with the cylinder to break them out. Fair warning, as soon as you interact with the cylinder, you're going to be locked into a boss battle. I won't show you the boss battle here, just know that you need to be prepared for a very tanky opponent. Once you have defeated this boss, you'll be brought back into the biolab, and you want to actually go immediately and jump into the water surrounding where you were just fighting the boss inside of the biolab. What you're looking for is a golden key card. It won't be all that easy to spot, but as you're circling around the area, I recommend you stay on top of the water or just below the top of the water, and you'll eventually see this key card down at the bottom. With this key card in hand, you now actually need to make your way over to the shipwreck. At the shipwreck, you'll notice 2 gaping openings. What you want to do is go to the larger of the 2 openings where you're going to see a ladder, and at the top of this ladder is a hatch. With the key card in your inventory, this latch will actually open, allowing you to go inside of the shipwreck. What you're going to see is a bunch of photos and also 2 cylinders that you actually need to use to help bring back power to the full facility. Be warned that as soon as you interact with these connectors, these giant cylinders, you're going to be locked inside of this room, and you essentially have to survive for a certain amount of time. It's not displayed on screen, so just be prepared for a lot of zombies rushing you all at once. After the time limit is up, you'll be able to jump down the hatch once again. Keep in mind that you want to take at least one of the cylinders with you, but you won't be able to sprint while you have the cylinders. So if you're playing solo, I definitely recommend having the boat very close by. What you want to do with these 2 cylinders is actually go and find different tubes scattered across the map and reconnect them. There are 3 different spots that these connectors need to be placed, and obviously one of them is already going to be connected, hence only 2 tubes. The first one is going to be found on that very large southern island, right on the edge where I'm showing you here. All you have to do is take a couple seconds while interacting with this area, and the tubes will be reconnected. Return back to the shipwreck and grab the second tube. Now, the second location that could possibly need to be reconnected is right underneath the sea tower. As you see in my game, this connector is already set up, so I can't interact with this one. The third and final spot is actually inside of the sea caves right near Speed Cola. It is going to be on the far side of the wall where you can see the giant tube running across that wall. Now, in every game, these locations are going to be a little different. In my first game I ever played, this one was already repaired, so I didn't have to go to this spot, but whenever you do have everything repaired, you're actually going to have the AI Sam start talking to you. Once Sam starts talking to you, you want to make your way back to the guard room where you have interacted with Strauss and Peck before. Once here, everyone will start talking once again, and you're actually going to be given a device that allows you to hack into 3 separate buoys scattered across the water inside of this map. These buoys are of course inside of the water around the main island of Terminus Island. Now, either way, you want to go in a clockwise or counterclockwise rotation around the main island to interact with these buoys one by one. You will have a bunch of the flying vermin around you every time you interact with one of these buoys, so either shoot them down ahead of time, or as you're seeing in my playthrough, simply ignore them. Something very key that's going to happen as soon as you interact with your very first buoy is that you're going to have a countdown. This countdown is of course the amount of time you have to interact with all 3 of these buoys. Thankfully, this is more than enough time to go to all 3 of the buoys in a quick fashion. Once you have interacted with all 3 of these buoys, you'll get a confirmation that you did it quick enough when your screen gets flashbanged. This is where we're going to take a quick pause so that I can tell you about the next step that's going to happen immediately after this, and by far the most stressful part of this entire Easter egg in my opinion. You're going to be notified by Professor Modi that she has a fail-safe that is going to blow up the island. What you're going to have to do is actually stop 3 bombs inside of the biolab. You need to defuse all 3 of these bombs within 5 minutes, which seems like a lot of time, but it's not when you're getting rushed by a giant horde of zombies. I highly recommend that you get as many monkey bombs as you possibly can, 2 in total, or a bunch of decoy grenades ready to go before you start this step to help distract the zombies around these different bombs so you can defuse them a lot faster. All 3 of these bombs are basically going to be spawned around Melee Macchiato. The very first bomb, you can take a look directly at Melee Macchiato. It's going to be all the way to the right where at a door that has 01 on it. If you go the other direction of Melee Macchiato, you're going to come across another door that says 02 on it. And on the second floor, just above Melee Macchiato, you're going to find another door, a third door with 03 on it. These are the 3 locations that these bombs are going to spawn. Once again, get as many decoy grenades or monkey bombs as possible, and best of luck to you. Once you have safely defused all 3 of the bombs, you're going to hear that another door has opened. This door is going to be the final door that you enter into to get into the massive boss fight. This boss has a ton of health and 3 different phases, so bring in as much power as possible. Once you do, you will get a short cutscene that leads into the giant introduction of the massive final boss for this main Easter egg, which is going to actually be Patient 13. Now, these 3 different phases are very similar, but also very different at the same time. The very first phase, you're going to see red spheres show up on his shoulders that you need to shoot as his major weak points. At the same time, you're going to be rushed by a ton of different zombies, and you're going to have tentacles in the background shooting a bunch of poisonous gas at you. The way I did this solo was pick one direction around the square arena and constantly go in that direction until you got comfortable enough to stand your ground and shoot at the major weak points on the main body of Patient 13. When he is at a third of his health, he's going to dive under the water and come back later later with manglers starting to spawn and a new set of weak points that you need to shoot, which is going to be a set of tentacles and inside of his red glowing mouth. Once you have gotten to another third of his health, he's going to dive underwater again for a certain period of time, pop back up, but this time he's going to have a wipe attack and cut the main area of this boss fight in half. To dodge this wipe attack, you want to hide behind one of the two generators that you see on the sides of this arena when you first enter into this area. Continue back and forth, hitting him in his weak points, dodging the different zombies and dodging the wipe attacks, and eventually you will dwindle him down enough to where you defeat him. Top 10 zombies boss fight for me personally, because it brought me back to some of the original boss fights we had in zombies, where it's just an unbelievably sized monster that we need to take down somehow, some way. When you do defeat him, you will be thrown into a cutscene that I won't spoil for you here, so you can enjoy it for yourself when you do complete this Easter egg, but I will show you all the different rewards you get for completing this Easter egg. After the cutscene, you can either hit exit the game or continue the game. If you hit continue the game, you will be given a ton of points, a ton of salvage, and a ton of legendary loot, including a free ray gun. As you can see, you also get a bunch of different ammo mods if you want to continue to try and use this Easter egg and all these brand new gold weapons to go to higher rounds inside of Terminus Island. You will also be given a unique calling card specifically for completing this Easter egg, and if you do it early before the guided mission comes out, which will come out a little bit later after launch, you will get essentially a darker version of that calling card. But in my opinion, the best reward for completing this Easter egg is the brand new trophy collector skin for Maya that you can only get by completing this Easter egg. It's an awesome looking skin. I plan to use it for the foreseeable future. I just think it's an awesome reward specifically for zombies, something that we don't normally get as part of the zombies community. Now, I hope that you guys found this walkthrough guide helpful. It's a long Easter egg, which is awesome in my opinion, because all the previous versions of zombies have had very short and easy Easter eggs, and this one definitely challenges you a little bit. If you guys did find this walkthrough guide helpful, make sure to hit the like, subscribe buttons down below. Let me know down in the comments as well your favorite part of this Easter egg, if it's the final boss fight or a particular step of this entire Easter egg. I want to know down in the comments. Once again, I hope you guys found this walkthrough guide helpful. I'll catch you in the next video.